Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Kirk-Flew. I'm the Manager of Constituent Services at the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Welcome, and thank you for coming out on this very cold day. We have a very full agenda, a very exciting program for you today, wonderful presentations and great speakers. And we're going to get started. We're going to have a couple of adjustments to our agenda. The mayor will be here shortly. He's en route. And so when he does arrive, we will take a pause and invite him to come up and say a greeting to us. With that, I'd like to start by welcoming Joan Leary Matthews from EPA Region 2. Joan is the Director of the Clean Water Division of USA Region 2. She's responsible for leading a team of engineers and scientists to promote and protect water quality. Joan?
Good morning, everybody. I feel like I'm back teaching and I have to tell the students to come to the front of the classroom. It's really great to be back in a classroom, I have to say. Thank you, Carrie. I'm so pleased to welcome you to this event and to be here in the great city of Newark. I'd also like to thank our partners in organizing this workshop and other efforts on addressing combined sewer overflows. And that, of course, are the New Jersey DEP and the New Jersey Future. Our three organizations have come together with you and your communities in mind, that's for sure. New Jersey communities are not unique, however, in having many combined sewer systems. Nationally, 859 municipalities have or have had CSOs. 775 of those have either upgraded their systems to reduce or eliminate CSOs, or are in the process of implementing their long-term control plans to do so. New Jersey CSO communities have the benefit of using some of the good experiences and effective approaches that other communities have had. You will hear about some of these at this workshop today. We have been working closely with New Jersey DEP on the CSO permits, which include important provisions. And you will hear from DEP on the timeline for those permits. But I have to tell you right now that EPA is very excited about this. And I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm going to let Pilar tell that story. But it's been a long haul, really good, very fruitful discussions and collaborations. And they should be very proud of the end product. Included among the important provisions in the permits are to advance the use of green infrastructure in long-term control plans and encourage communities to collaborate on solutions and look for opportunities to develop integrated strategies that look at wastewater and stormwater infrastructure needs together. The permits are an important step. But I also have to tell you that the rubber will hit the road in the long-term control plans, which these permits require. We will be reviewing these plans, and we urge you, the communities here who are represented here, to be as bold as you can, keeping at the forefront the critical goals of improving water quality and protecting public health and the environment, because that's what this is all about. We do recognize, of course, the costs involved in doing this work, potentially over $2 billion in New Jersey, not including other water infrastructure investments in drinking water and wastewater treatment plants. But the benefits are well worth it and are necessary. We have also been engaged with stakeholders and communities to promote green infrastructure as a vital part of these solutions, and we have a variety of efforts completed and underway to promote green infrastructure and demonstrate its performance. And there is a panel today that will be discussing that, and some of my EPA colleagues are here and will be presenting. EPA is committed to promoting sustainable practices that will help ensure that our citizens enjoy the benefits of clean and safe water. Instituting sustainable wastewater and stormwater infrastructure is critical to this effort. We are here to support your efforts. EPA can provide technical assistance. We can help you brainstorm ideas for your communities or help you make connections to communities that might have already addressed some of the challenges that you face and can bring lessons learned to your work. This is a critically important moment in time. This effort will greatly reduce pollution in our waterways, which will increase recreational opportunities and bring more people and jobs to our urban waterfront areas. I don't think that I can overemphasize the quality of life benefits to our communities that will result from upgrading this long, out-of-date wastewater infrastructure while creating healthier, sustainable, and resilient towns and cities for the 21st century and beyond. It will take investment, commitment, and yes, a lot of hard work. Our communities, our environment, and critical waterways and habitats deserve nothing less. So thank you again for joining us. It promises to be a very productive day.
I'm going to invite up Chris Sturm, who is the policy manager at New Jersey Future, so she can say a few words.
Thanks, Carrie. New Jersey Future, as most of you know, is a nonprofit organization that promotes smart growth statewide. And you may be wondering what we're doing at a conference about combined sewer overflows. The answer is really that our cities are the future of New Jersey lies in its cities, and our cities are growing for the first time in decades, but they're not going to be able to realize their full potential with the water infrastructure that we have, with the flooding and the sewer main breaks and so on that we have. So this is an issue that we feel needs to be tackled, and we are delighted to be here with such great partners in the DEP and the EPA who recognize that the challenge is so massive, it's really generational, and we're not going to succeed if we look at this just as an issue of regulatory compliance. And cities aren't going to be able to afford to make the investments needed if they're not also spurring economic development. So we really appreciate the holistic approach, and we really appreciate all of you being here. I want to thank all the foundations that support nonprofit organizations working in this area, especially the Dodge Foundation, which is supporting us, and the Victoria Foundation, which is also here today. There are a whole bunch of nonprofit organizations and community groups and environmental organizations that are engaged in these issues, and so we're really looking forward to working with all of them, with the cities, with the regulators, and with the private sector to helping make sure that we're coming up with the smartest solutions that are going to cost the least amount of money but have the greatest benefit for our cities. So I thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chris. Lastly, I'd like to invite up Dan Kennedy. Dan is the Assistant Commissioner of Water Resource Management at DEP. He's responsible for overseeing the divisions of water supply, geoscience, water quality, and water monitoring and standards. Dan?
Got it. Perfect. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for taking the time today, whether it's part of the day or the whole day, to start thinking about this important issue. Commissioner Martin sends his regards. This is not just a water resource management priority, but this is a department-wide priority, and thus a statewide priority. Commissioner Martin and the Christie administration have been focused on this and water quality issues from the start. CSOs are not the only water quality issue in the state. They are a big piece of the puzzle. We have a lot of different issues that we're contending with. Clearly, pathogens and discharges from CSOs are not the only issue. But this is a big piece of the puzzle that has been a generational issue that we're going to start grappling with in a serious way now. Some of the goals for the workshop here today are to bring together the sciences. This isn't going to happen just through the engineering community, hydrology community, finance community, planning community. There's also the political science and the arts and sciences of community engagement, community development, and all those different sorts of arts and sciences that have to really pull together to work. We have sent out a draft permit, and much of the comments we received back were from engineering departments, which is appropriate. We felt it was appropriate at this stage of the phase to bring in, to make sure the planning community, the engineering community, and we invited mayors to attend this as well and their senior staff. So before we went final with the permit, our goal was to make sure that the entire community that's necessary to make this a successful effort is engaged, understands the challenges ahead, and understands the role that they can play moving forward. So with that, thank you to Mayor Baraka. He will be here shortly, and to the other mayors of the room. I see Mayor Diaz here. I know Mayor Red is either here or will be here shortly. And apologies for any other mayors that are in the room that I haven't named by name, but we appreciate you all and your senior staffs that you've chosen to attend. We also want to make sure that we don't limit our knowledge here to New Jersey's experiences. We've brought in some great outside resources, some great stories to tell from other places that have stepped up to this challenge and used it as a way to leverage economic development and open up their waterfronts to see jobs and opportunities for the residents, both old and new. So it's the opportunities that we want to highlight most today, side by side the responsibilities and some of the permit requirements. We want to thank EPA and their staff, thank New Jersey Future, thank the presenters that have taken their time to come here today, thank Rutgers University for getting us this space. Thanks to the DEP staff, so let me take a quick liberty to name them, both current, most of our current staff, but the DEP staff for the last 20 years have been dealing with this, in fact. There's a lot of folks that don't work at the DEP now that are also part of the success. But folks that work for me right now, Michelle Putnam, Janice Brogel, Pilar Patterson, Adriana, Beverly, and Fritz Wise for helping today. Joe Manick, Corey, Kira, sorry about that, for some of the nuts and bolts work. And Kerry and her staff for the communications work and the help of organization. And also Fred and his staff for helping us get everything together. It takes a village to put on events like this, and I want to recognize from the people that are taking the calls to do the RSVPs all the way up to the policymakers. We appreciate all of you. And I also want to recognize in the room today Governor Florio. Thank you for your leadership on these issues, and we hope to move them forward in the next generation of environmental leadership here. If you'd like to welcome anybody in the room, say a couple words, welcome you to do that.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's a long program, so I'll be just brief in saying I want to welcome you on behalf of myself and my co-chair, Governor Whitman. We've worked very hard, and this program is really developing in a very good way. I'm very emotionally involved in this as well. I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Camden, so I'm urban-oriented, which is something. And then the environmental aspects of this program are obvious, and I've been involved with that. So I'm hopeful we'll have a very productive day. So thank you very much.
Mayor's not here, right? Okay. So Pilar, if you want to come up. We're going to pivot right into the first session. When Mayor Baraka gets here, we're going to introduce him. Kerry introduced my role. I guess we can. Kerry introduced my role here at the department. I'm going to speak from a couple 100,000 feet, and then Pilar is going to jump into the details. My role at the department is water supply, water quality, water monitoring, and standards. My background experience is more in planning and economic development, land preservation, as opposed to permitting. So I feel like I was chosen by Commissioner Martin for this role for more of my planning expertise than certainly my regulatory expertise, which I had very little of before I came to the department. Those in this room know the secret that hides from plain view of most residents in the state. Underground in 21 downstream municipalities throughout New Jersey, there exists 100-year-old storm sewer systems that combine both rainwater and when combined with rainwater, the sewers overflow into our streets, rooftops, from our rooftops. And when a heavy rain falls in these areas, these systems are overwhelmed, and all the untreated waste flows into our waterways. These are called combined sewer overflow systems. Many in the planning community and some of the community development community may not be aware of this, so we're kind of starting with the definition of this all. Folks that live in these communities know this very well. These discharge events also take place when there's system failure due to improper maintenance, line breaks, severe weather events that inundate the system. So it's not just heavy rain, it's when things happen to the systems from backup and maintenance. So these CSOs, they sound archaic, but at one point in the history of this country, they were revolutionary improvements. This was over 100 years ago. Think about back at the time when it was commonplace for household waste to be disposed of on your property, thrown into the streets. Industrial waste treated much the same. So at one point in our history, these investments in these systems were massive improvements to public health and safety. That was at a time when the parents of my great-grandparents were making decisions. We think that we live in a much different time. The technology and information is much, much better. Our awareness of the environmental issues in the state are much better from then, and it's really, we should no longer accept this trade-off. So the time's come to address this old relic and eliminate CSOs from the state of New Jersey and also the region. This is a big issue for the region, not just New Jersey, as EPA stated. When you look across our major rivers to New York City and to Philadelphia, there's issues there as well. So New Jersey needs to do its job, manage its systems, and hope and push that our neighbors do the same. We've gone through a long process of engagement that lasts before my tenure here. As we're in the process of final permits being issued, we have done, I think, an exceptional job at the department through our staff, vetting the permits, working with EPA, having workshops. So our goal was to have no surprises. We think this approach is pragmatic, that we're going to present and result in financially sustainable long-term capital investment strategies for each unique sewer area. We are encouraging regional work, and we're trying to incentivize regional work through our schedules and through our investment programs. We think that with consumer interest driving redevelopment and infill development to our urban centers and other transit-oriented development areas, the time couldn't be any better. This isn't me being some sort of dogmatic planner, thinking that I can write a plan and push the market. This is really happening when you look at the building permit data, when you look at the consumer interests, when you listen to the builders, when you know a little bit about where they're investing their time and energy. When you look at some of the investments that are being made through our EIT system, when you look at the incentive programs that are lined up through our EDA programs, you see it all real funneling to not just because government wants it, it's because the consumer interest is driving it for the first time in several generations. So this is the market speaking. This isn't a planner speaking, and it's speaking loudly. So as these areas are redeveloping and otherwise improving themselves, taking an integrated approach to blend environmental improvements and economic development is going to go a long way to solving this long-standing issue. The beauty of this approach is, frankly, we need to replace our crumbling water infrastructure anyway. We need to improve stormwater management. We need to invest in green infrastructure. We need to invest in localized flood mitigation, as these are all key areas in your focus areas already in your communities. So as we're doing that work anyway in your communities, we need to ratchet that with the CSO issue, thus making it quicker, easier, cheaper, and more understandable about why the investments we're making make sense. So meeting this multiple bottom line test will help, I think, in a way, rationalize the investment much more clearly than just meeting an environmental compliance schedule. 20% of the population live in communities with CSO in them. So the benefits are clear for them. The benefits for the rest of the state are also clear. What happens in Jersey City flows down to the shore and the beaches and impacts the rest of our residents. Eliminating CSOs will create more opportunities for water-based and waterfront activities. It'll provide new river-based recreation and sporting events for all New Jersey residents. So it's not just about the 20% of folks that live in these communities, but it's about the rest of the state and the visitors to New Jersey from a tourism perspective that will also benefit from these investments. So it's not just a local goal, but it's a statewide goal as well and a regional goal. Under the first step of this permit, it's basically a deep dive into the technical. Public input's going to be sought early and often and at every stage of the process. The input from the community should help influence project priorities with the greatest benefits. Municipalities will be empowered to work with their neighbors and craft solutions to fit within their unique regional context. This is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take 3 to 5 years to have these long-term control plans together. But this will be the game plan for strategic investments moving forward. We've reorganized the department to meet this goal. We have a new office created, the Office of Water Resource Management Coordination, which will then blend with our permitting staff. Colleen Kokas and Jen Feltis are here today from that program. So they're going to be handling a lot of the community engagement opportunities. The DEP is also committed to working with EIT strongly with our programs. David Zimmer from the EIT is here because it's not just an engineering puzzle, it's a finance puzzle as well. And Dave Zimmer and his team, blended with our DEP team, are here to help finance the infrastructure solutions. So one size doesn't fit all. We understand that. We're going to be working actively through the process, back and forth, and adapting as we go. Changes after the first 5-year cycle may need to be made to address some issues that are not working. Some will say you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I would say you got to weigh the elephant first, have a good plan, and be smart about your bites. And that's what we're going to be doing here today. So, Carrie here. It's now my. Carrie handed me a intro sheet for the mayor, so I'm gonna take this liberty here. Mayor Baraka, thank you for coming today. My name is not Carrie Kirk-Flew. My name is Dan Kennedy. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Water Resource Management at the department. I'm going to welcome you. I know you've got a busy schedule today. I know you are a tireless crusader in tackling issues related to quality of life for the people of Newark. Newark is one of our CSO communities, so we're pleased to introduce you and welcome you, and give you a couple minutes here to welcome the crowd. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Do you need this? You may not. No. You good? I'm good. All right.
Do I need that? Yeah. That's okay. I'm a principal, so I think I can speak loud. So I just want to say welcome and thank you. First, I know we're here discussing combined sewer overflow, and that's important for us in the city of Newark. It's not just a technical kind of business issue. It's an issue that pertains to the quality of life of all residents of this city and the surrounding cities. As a matter of fact, Newark has a 100-year-old, even older infrastructure, water infrastructure in the city. We feed or give water to many different municipalities around our city. It is a huge asset for the city of Newark, and I know you don't have to be a scientist to understand that when it rains in our city, when it storms in our city, when there's a natural problem in our city, that our 100-year-old infrastructure is hit hard by that, and it affects the quality of life of all Newark residents in this town. It is important for us, what we're discussing here today, not just because it's going to be the law. It's important for us because it is important for families in this city, for the beautification of our community, for the quality of life of our residents and our children at the same time. And not only that, Newark has a beautiful waterfront. I don't know if all of us had the opportunity to be able to check that out. So while you're here, maybe you should go look at it. Newark's waterfront is beginning to be developed, right? So we have monies to develop the park on the waterfront. We are investing in more opportunities to develop further down, to extend the park even further down. And you know that rivers in any riverfronts or waterfronts in any city is a key to development. People love the water. They like to be around the water. It's an opportunity for us to grow the city economically. So it's important for us to keep our river, our water clean, fresh, beautiful, and so that people could come there and grow there. So it's very important for us for various reasons, which makes this meeting that you're having today extremely important for over 300,000 people in this city and other cities that may not know it, that depends on Newark water and depends on Newark's location in this region. So I just want to thank you again for coming today. I wish you luck in what you're discussing, and hopefully we get to a point where we can live in a cleaner, a greener city and state in New Jersey. And I can't leave without thanking not just the folks that come here, but the folks from Newark that are here on the ground every single day, the organizations that are keeping us honest and making sure that we address all environmental concerns in our city, that are raising their voices for all Newarkers that may not have an opportunity to get their voices raised. So thank you, and thanks for coming here today.